he would come into my office or he would text me after he read a certain amount of pages and he's like, "It's so good. Why is it so good?" Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rochelle and this is my booktube channel, Good Morning Dreamer. And what I'm gonna do today is actually participate in this tag that I've been seeing going around the booktube community. And as you all know, I am new to booktube, so this is my first time getting the chance to do some of these really cool tags, and I'm excited. I really like some of these questions, and when I was going through them, it made me really think them out. So with that being said, it is the mid-year book freak out tag, and I have like all the questions that I'm gonna go and answer in this little notebook of mine. And I saw this on Seasons Readings channel, but I know that it's a tag that's been going on for quite some time now. It's on quite a few different booktube channels, so I'm just using the ones that I saw on their channel. Well, first up is, what is your favorite book that you've read this year? And that is a no-brainer, so let me go and grab it. So my favorite book that I have read this year is pretty much a no-brainer. Y'all have not heard me stop talking about this book. I probably talk about it at least once every single video, but it is Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. I have 3 different copies, so this is the one that you will have seen in my latest book haul video. And then this is the indie cover, and then this is the newly released cover, and I love her. I love how Win and Bo look on the cover. This book is just everything and more to me. So I don't know necessarily if I've explained this book in entirety or given a synopsis or any of those things, so let me go and do that finally here. So with this story, the main character, Win, she has a limb difference, and she goes to her friend's Halloween party that they're hosting. She's dressed up as a pirate and ends up going and meeting Bo, who also turns out to have a limb difference as well. And one thing leads to another. They have a hookup, but unexpected pregnancy pops up. And I never thought I would be into the whole unexpected pregnancy trope. That was nothing I really read before, but something about the way that Hannah Bonham Young does it, she just does it so well. I love how she writes her characters, the relationships, and just fills in this representation that just like hits you right at your core. I just could rave about her all day. And if that's not enough, my fiance actually finally finished reading this book, and he would come into my office or he would text me after he read a certain amount of pages and he's like, "It's so good. Why is it so good?" And then he was so upset because he finished it yesterday and he's like, "It's over now." He didn't know what to do. I was like, now you know. You can never read that book for the first time ever again. So if that very long-winded spiel does not convince you that you should read this book, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't, because yeah, I mean, just look at them. They are perfect, and they have limb differences, and yeah. The best sequel you've read this year. All right. The best sequel that I've read this year is actually Secrets in the Dark. I haven't really read a lot of book series this year, but this is another series that I've really been enjoying. I've been splitting up the books to 1 book per month just because I spit everywhere. Just because I want the series, the world, everything to last just a little bit longer. So the first book is Voices in the Snow, and this is the Black Winter series. I don't want to talk about it too much, but basically the premise of this series is that Claire is going and driving to pick up her aunt. She is on the phone with her sister, and all they know is that these places are basically blacking out. And when they go and black out, No one can get into contact with anyone in these areas, and it is starting in more densely populated areas such as cities and is slowly going into more rural areas. And so Claire is on the phone with her sister. Her sister has this bunker, and she's basically giving her updates on what she's learning about in the news. Well, one thing happens and Claire gets into a really bad accident and wakes up in this unfamiliar location that has all this old-fashioned furniture, decorations. She's like, I don't recognize this area. And there's a guy that seems to be there too. She doesn't know, did this guy like kidnap her? Is he hurting her? She's realizing slowly as she's waking up that her body is in agony and she can barely move. And all she can think about is like, I need to get out of here. And I don't want to go into it too much more because I don't want to spoil things, but I will say that there's these creatures that kind of pop up in the story and you don't know necessarily, are they a figment of Claire's imagination or are they actually real? How did these creatures come into fruition? And that's just as much as I'm going to go and tell you, because I went into this story not knowing too many details on it, and I loved it so much. So if you like shows like The Walking Dead, 10 Cloverfield Lane, The Day After Tomorrow, any apocalyptic type of story where like things just shut down and you have to scramble to figure out what to do, this series. But yeah, so that's a little bit of some information on it. So the next one is, what are some new releases that you haven't read yet but want to? So one of the ones that is kind of at the top of my list would actually be Done and Dusted. I don't like romance. I don't like romance. I usually stray away from romance and spiciness. However, there are a few tropes, a few themes that I really do enjoy. So I do love the whole small town romance. I love romances that have some sort of representation, especially if it's disability representation. And so because of that, and also because some booktubers like Jan and Cass that I really enjoy watching are, they've either read or are planning on reading this book, I want to read Done and Dusted. I really want to read Done and Dusted. I am a girl that is originally from South Dakota, small town, and, you know, lots of rednecks, lots of horses, all that stuff, and I want to read Done and Dusted. And yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. This was the question that I was getting a little bit too excited about. So, phone is back out. And this question is, what is your most anticipated release of the second half of the year? All right, I can do that now. I can hold out my phone. So the first one is The Spell Shop, and for the longest time I was getting The Spell Shop and The Honey Witch mixed up because they both have such cute, cozy cottages on the cover. But this one basically it's described as a lush cottagecore tale full of stolen spell books, unexpected friendships, sweet jams, and even sweeter love. So this one just looked very cozy as well. I loved the way that the cover looked, and I am just manifesting to one day live in a really cute cottage, surrounded by nature, lots of flowers, and with cute little animals that I can go and feed outside my house if the neighbors don't complain. The next one that I'm really looking forward to is A Mask of Flies, and this one is described as a pulse-pounding crime horror. A Mask of Flies, a criminal on the run after a failed heist, must confront dark family secrets and demons from her past made flesh. The cover looks very creepy. I'm like anxiously excited, nervously excited, whatever the saying is, but it looks really cool, and I really want to read it, and hopefully I'm not disturbed or disgusted out of my mind and I can't finish it. So we shall see. And then I have The Girl with No Reflection. This is another one that is on my radar, and it's a young woman chosen as the crown prince's bride must travel to the royal palace to meet her new husband. But her world is shaken when she discovers the dark truth. The royal family has been hiding for centuries. In this lush fantasy debut, perfect for fans of Song of Silver Flame like Night and Violet Made of Thorns. I have never actually read Violet Made of Thorns. I'm pretty sure I have a special edition on my shelf behind me, but I have not read it yet. But I'm very intrigued by this book, and I love the cover. So yeah, that's on my pre-order list as well. And then the next one is Long Live Evil. And the way I've heard this described is basically like this person ends up going and getting transported into the world of her favorite fantasy series, but she is actually the villain. And that just sounds so intriguing. Like whenever you think of stories where some character has been transported into a magical world, they're always the hero. They're never the villain. So I'm very intrigued by this. And it seems to have some comments from Holly Black, Lee Bardugo, and it says, expect a rogues gallery of villains including an axe-wielding maiden, a shining knight with dark moods, a homicidal bodyguard, and a playboy spy master with a golden heart and a filthy reputation. Why does that kind of sound like Astarion from BG3? Just saying. But yeah, so those are the books that are kind of on my radar that I have pre-ordered preemptively before I started my book buying ban, so they don't count. Plus they're not until later this year. All right, so then next off is, what is your biggest disappointment? My biggest disappointment, and I feel like salt has definitely been getting put in the wound for this book, and it's The Troop by Nick Cutter. I am still so upset about this book. I don't even know, like chapter 27, somewhere around there in this book, and it was so disgusting, so disturbing. I had to stop reading it, but I feel like everyone that I've watched on booktube just loves that book so much. Like, they say it's disgusting, but it's one of their favorite books. So I'm like, do I try to like repick that book up and finish reading it so I can see what everyone else is saying, even though it makes me sick to my stomach? Or do I leave it as a DNF and continue getting salt in the burn because everyone loves that book and I don't know. But yeah, so that's the biggest disappointment. It's basically about this group that goes to an island with their camp counselor. This is basically a trip that they're doing, I believe, before the school year happens. And they're all in middle school and everything, and suddenly this one guy shows up, but he's very sick and no one has any idea of what happened to him. And the camp counselor, he has some knowledge when it comes to the medical world, so he tries to take care of him, but ends up also getting infected. And it just is one of those things that starts to hit each person slowly because it's extremely contagious, but none of them really know how or why. So it's a story about survival, but it's very disgusting and very descriptive. There's also animal cruelty in it, which is something that is very difficult for me to read. I can sometimes watch it in movies, but in movies you can always like hide yourself or skip through it. And with books, I have a very vivid imagination, so it is so difficult for me to read something and just not picture it in my head. And I tried skipping, and I just, yeah. So I don't know. We shall see. If you've read The Troop and you loved it and you think it's an amazing book and you saw my video where I said I was not able to finish it and you were horribly disappointed in me, please leave a comment down below and let me know if I need to read this book. If I need to finish it, I got so far in it, I just need to plow through and just finish the book. Just let me know, please. Because as you can see, I'm very conflicted. What book was my biggest surprise? I feel like I'm gonna go with Voices in the Snow. So for the longest time, I kind of stopped reading. I fell off of the wagon, and it kind of started off with college because, you know, you're getting the assigned readings, and you basically don't have enough time to do a lot of reading for fun. So I fell out of reading for the longest time and got back into it recently. So there's a bunch of authors that I just wasn't familiar with and lots of people were raving about. And so Darcy Coates was one of them, and I saw some people talk about this one. I heard it mentioned in a video, and some of the things just really lit off fireworks in my brain, making me think like, yeah, okay, I'll read this book. And so I was very surprised how much I loved it and how much I loved Darcy Coates. And now I have quite a few books of Darcy Coates on my bookshelf behind me, and I definitely do need to read them after I finish this book series. So yeah, I would say that would be my biggest surprise, that I loved this book, and also it didn't scare me enough to the point where I stopped reading it. Alright, so the next question is new favorite author. And I need to get some of the books together. New favorite author, Hannah Bonham Young. So if you can't tell, I'm obsessed with her. I have 3 different editions of Out on a Limb, and then Next to You I have 2 different versions of, and then I just have 1 version of Next of Kin. But yes, she has been my favorite surprise author, favorite new author that I have read. She is an instant buy for me, and although she writes romance and everything, there's just, I was talking about this with my fiance last night after he finished Out on a Limb. We're both not the type of people that like romance or anything like that, but just the way she writes her characters and does her story, it's just, you love the characters instantly. They feel so real, like they would be friends that you'd have in real life. And I don't know, it just, you just never want to leave the worlds that she writes. So yeah, new favorite author, and I love her, and these books are so pretty. So newest fictional crush. So I tend to not read a lot of romance books. It's just not something I gravitate towards, especially if it has a lot of spice or anything like that. And so with that, usually I tend to not have characters that I fall madly deeply in love with. And also, like, just from the past, like, I've had experiences where I love these characters so much, and then I'd be so devastated that real life relationships just never could equate to it. So yeah, a long-winded answer about why I don't usually like romances and what one of the reasons is. But if I did have to pick a fictional crush, it would probably be one of the characters that Hannah Bonham Young has created. So it would either be Beau from Out on a Limb or Warren from Next of Kin. And they are kind of total opposites in a way. Like, Beau is this nerdy finance bro who's not actually a finance bro, surprise. But this nerdy, just sweet, blonde-headed finance bro. And I like brunettes, so yeah, there's just a lot of surprises with him. And then with this one, it's Warren. He is a little bit more hard and has a lot of his guard up, lots of walls. He's a mechanic, but he really loves and cares for his brother and just the people that he holds close. And both of these characters, I was just swooning over, just giggling, kicking my legs out. I can't pick. It's one of the two. Newest favorite characters. So I'm so sorry. I keep going back to the same books, but yeah, it would either be the books in Voices in the Snow. I love Claire. I love just seeing how she progresses throughout the stories and how she goes from someone that she's capable, but she goes into this totally different world and learns to like trust her senses and just learns all these different skills, and I really love her. And then Out on a Limb, I love all the characters in this story as well. And there's actually going to be another book coming out, I think next year, and it's like Out of the Woods. I believe that's the correct title of the book. If not, I'll post the information here. But one of the characters, Wynn's best friend, Sarah, and her husband are actually some of the people that the next book is about. And I loved all the characters in this story so much. So when I found out the next book goes and has Sarah and her husband, who were two characters I just adored so much. They were this found family, this chosen family that you just wish that you had in your inner circle. I would say like any of the characters in this book I just loved, adored, and I wish that they were people I could befriend in real life. I feel like I haven't been talking about a lot of other books. I promise you, I have been reading other books. It's just some of them I don't hold on as high of a shelf as these other ones. A book that made you cry. Next of Kin, Out on a Limb. These books made me cry. So many different moments. Like there's so many heartwarming moments in these books. And I just realized now I haven't actually explained to you Next of Kin. So this one, it has Chloe and Warren. Both of them are trying to gain custody of their siblings. And so they're in this whole foster program, but this foster program basically says they can have custody of their siblings. However, they need to live together because one person has this key piece that the other is missing. Chloe has a house, which Warren does not have. Warren has more of a stable income than Chloe has. And so they're forced to live together, and it's so good. Chloe is definitely that very like bubbly, happy person, glass always full. And Warren is the one that is very cautious, very unforgiving, untrusting, grumpy. It was so good, so amazing. So this book definitely pulled at my heartstrings so many times. Last time I'm gonna mention this book, I promise. So, what is a book that made you happy? This one, Out on a Limb. This one made me so happy because for the longest time, I really wanted to read a book that had limb difference representation. I wanted to be able to read a story that just represented us properly, where we weren't villainized, we weren't the bad guy, we were just someone that was living their everyday life and was able to be a main character and fall in love and all of those things. So this book just made me so happy for so many reasons. It's probably going to be on my top books read for the year if I do a recap of that. So yeah, I can't say more good things about this book. It's forever going to be one of my favorites. So the next one is, what is the most beautiful book that you've purchased this year? And I actually have different ones for you. So there's 3 different ones. This one is The Wild Ones by Nafisa Assad. I still don't know what this book is about, but I loved the cover. I mean, she is just so stunning. I love the diversity and the characters on the cover and like the different hair color and everything. It's so beautiful. Even the back of the book is gorgeous. So this is probably a book that I hopefully will plan on reading soon, but I 100% bought this book because of the cover. Then I also have Snow Globe, which is a translated book from Japanese, I believe, and it's dystopian, but I really loved the cover of this book as well. Just the shattered glass, the roses, I don't know, something about the colors and everything. And then The Unmaking of June Farrow. This is the Owl Crate version, and I've shown this one in one of my unboxing hauls, but I loved how beautiful this one was. The other cover, the dust jacket. Oops. Just every little piece about this book was so gorgeous, and best of all, I really, really loved this book too. So yeah, those would probably be the books that, the most pretty books that I got this year. There's probably a lot more, but I don't want to keep you all here for a million years. So watch one of my book hauls if you want to see some of the other book covers that have made their appearance on this channel. Alright, and then the last question that I have for this video is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? That's a loaded question, because I have a lot of books that I've been hauling before my book ban started. So yeah, I'm just kind of looking all around me, and there's a lot of books. I would say I definitely want to finish the Black Winter series. I do plan on doing Summerween. Oh gosh, the bingo that Petal Pages is doing, and then Jan Agaton, I think it's a full moon readathon. I believe that's what it's called, but I want to go and try to participate in all of those. And so whatever books fill or like check the box for those challenges, I definitely want to read them as well. So yeah, there's a lot of books, and as you can see, this bookshelf has so many books. So yeah, there's kind of a non-ending, never-ending list of books that I'd like to read. But yeah, I really enjoyed doing this tag, and I think I'll probably try to do it again next year, because I think that's so fun to get to reflect on books you read, going through your favorites, your least favorites, the ones that really stuck and resonated with you so much. So yeah, I really liked it, and I promise you I did read other books. There's just ones that really made more of an impact on me than others, I guess, if I had to describe it better. But yeah, that's kind of all that I have for everyone. I do have a few other videos that I plan on recording and editing, but yeah, I kind of caught Charles's cold, so I'm kind of dealing with that a little bit. It's mostly just a sore throat right now, but I'm hoping I can just kick it to the curb and we won't have to deal with it anymore. But yeah, so there's this video, obviously. I have a vlog that I'm putting together, and then I have some other really fun things that are going to be coming up soon. So yeah, I'm excited to go and share them with you all. But if you liked this video, please leave a thumbs up, because that lets me know that you're enjoying what I'm doing. Like I said, books have helped my mental health so much, and I've just loved talking about books on here with y'all. It's been so much fun. So please leave a like, please leave a comment, subscribe even too. Like, that would be amazing if you subscribe to this channel and just let me know like you're enjoying hanging out, because I am too. But yeah, I love you all, and I want you to remember you are worthy and capable of amazing things. Bye everyone. Hey, hi, it is me from a few hours later. So I've been thinking quite a bit about my answers for the tag, and I feel like I just mentioned a lot of the same books so many times, and like, although it was very, very true, I'm overthinking. So I did think of a few other books that I really did love. So I'm gonna also add them here and keep some of the books that I mentioned, even though I mentioned them so many times in the video. So going back, what was your biggest surprise? I think another book that was a huge surprise for me was The North Tower. The North Tower by Michelle N. Hagood. This book was a surprise to me, mostly because it was never on my radar to go and read it. My fiance and I had decided we were going to go and have like a little bookstore date and everything, and this author was there going and signing books and standing there with her copies. So we decided to go and pick up one of the books, check them out, and it was really such a good read. It deals with a lot of difficult subjects, like a character that was abandoned in a trash can and just kind of lives life like from house to house, kind of has a lot of bad luck, and then winds up at this academy learning that she has these great powers, but also has to kind of keep them hidden otherwise it would make her a target, and there's just these mysteries and everything. In some ways it seems like a much more safe version of Harry Potter, if that makes sense. You know, none of that ickiness that came out years later. So yeah, like if you liked that book series growing up, I would highly recommend this one. It is a trilogy. The second book did come out. And then a book that made me happy, I actually got this one as an ARC, so it's Maya's Laws of Love by Alina Kawaja. And I really loved this book. It was very cute, had a lot of cultural representation in it. This book, the main character is engaged, but not necessarily sure if she is in love with the person she's engaged with. This is an arranged marriage, and she ends up going and traveling across the country for her wedding and has a lot of travel difficulties, and kind of reminded me of a leap year in a lot of aspects, just with a lot of unexpected difficulties while traveling. But yeah, this was a really cute book. It made me very happy with a lot of the moments in the book. I felt myself smiling quite a bit and was very interested in it, so much to the point that because I got this as an e-arc, I had to get a physical copy. So yeah, here just adding a few other ones that I forgot about during the original filming of my video. So hope you enjoy those additions. Bye.
Lazy Sunday mornings, hiding under covers. I don't mind staying in with you. Play your favorite movie, laying right beside me. I don't mind when it's just us two.